So there was a ton of tech that I got to try out this year, and a lot of them were really great, but to be honest, a lot of them were good, but maybe not products that I totally recommend buying to most people. Now, as someone who works a full-time job while doing this YouTube thing on the side, I have become really picky about what things stay on my desk and in my pockets. So with 2025 coming to a close, I wanted to talk about my absolute favorite tech purchases of this year that I actually find useful and practical regardless of price. As always, all the affiliate links for everything I show in this video will be down below, so make sure to go check those out if you're interested in any of the things I show you. Starting from probably my most used piece of tech this year, the M4 Mac Mini. I grabbed the base version for just over $500 thanks to a sweet discount, and it's probably the best Apple purchase I've ever made. The jump from my M1 MacBook Air to this M4 Mac Mini was massive. We finally get 16 gigs of RAM on the base model, which is exactly what I was looking for anyway. All of my minor complaints I had with my M1 Air, like occasional stutters and freezes during video editing, were basically solved with this. I can comfortably edit and export in 4K without any issues, and the export times on average got about 40% faster. But the real reason this was such a nice experience, even though this only had 256 gigs of SSD, is because I paired it with this Satechi stand-in hub. For anyone with a base model of the Mac Mini, this thing is the perfect upgrade accessory. It fits so seamlessly under the Mini, and you don't have to lift the whole computer up just to turn it on. As a content creator myself, the SD card slot and the USB-A ports are a huge part of my life, and this hub puts them right up front. But the real key for me was the SSD enclosure at the bottom. I bought a 1TB SSD for just $50 and popped it right in. If I wanted that much of a storage upgrade from Apple, it would have costed me an extra $400. For just $100, this hub turns my budget Mac Mini into a pro level desktop, so this whole package is such a nice experience. Now, even with that extra 1TB of SSD, as a content creator, I'm still constantly fighting for storage on my Mac. Between all my A-roll and B-roll for these videos, 4K 100 megabits per second files just eat through storage like crazy. I've been constantly having to deal with this, filling up that 1TB of SSD or whatever SSD capacity I have, so that's where one of my other favorites of 2025 comes in, Clean My Mac by MacPaw, the sponsor for this portion of the video. I've been using Clean My Mac this whole year, and it's been a lifesaver for managing my storage with all these videos I've been pumping out. To keep with the holiday theme, all these storage cloggers or the digital cookies piled up and slowed down my workflow and the vibes. Clean My Mac helped me clean that up, and it can help you clear out the wrong cookies so you can enjoy the right ones. When my SSD was maxed out, again, I used the cleanup and my clutter modules. These very visual UIs made it so easy to see exactly what files were taking up the most space. I was able to find all my old video files that I didn't need anymore and clear them out all at once. It showed me the exact file location and what folders they're in, so I had full context before hitting delete on them. After the cleanup, I went from a full drive back to more than 600 gigs of free space. The holidays definitely taste better without all these junk files or the bad cookies. So if you want a fresh start for your Mac and get tidy for the holiday season, you can try it for 7 days free using my link below, and make sure to use my code WAN20 for a 20% discount. And pairing with my Mac Mini, my favorite keyboard of the year is the Low Free Flow 2. I have been alternating between the Newfie Air 75 V3 and the Low Free Flow 2. If we are being objective, the Newfie is probably the better keyboard between the two. It's got a better, more accurate typing experience and better overall product execution. But despite all that, the Low Free is the one that stays on my desk most of the time. It really comes down to the design and the feel. The Low Free is ultra minimal and modern. It's all aluminum, and the build quality feels exactly like a high quality Apple device. I also prefer the Low Free sound. Even though it is a low profile keyboard, it has all these dampening layers that give it a much deeper, thockier typing sound that I just really like. Even though the Low Free's backlights are kind of useless and the USB port is inconveniently on the right side, I can overlook these since it just looks and feels so nice, especially with my desk setup. While we're talking about keyboards, I also want to give a quick shout out to the Framework Creator Micro V2. I have been getting a bit of video editing burnout from doing this YouTube thing for a long time now, but this little macro pad has been a total breath of fresh air for my editing workflow. It's really easy to map and customize, and I've totally optimized it for my cutting process and saves me a ton of time. Then moving away from the desk for just a second, my favorite iPad related thing this year has been this generic adjustable magnetic stand. After using this on the daily, I honestly think every iPad user should have one of these. My iPad mini has basically become a tiny TV on our countertop. It's just here on the kitchen counter 24/7, and we use it all the time for watching movies, YouTube, or shows while we're cooking, eating, or doing the dishes. This stand gives the iPad some height, and since it is magnetic, you just snap on the iPad and easily take it off without dealing with clamps or anything like that. I purchased mine on a Korean site called Coupang for around $20, and for that price, I really recommend getting one of these to just about any iPad owner. Since this one might be hard to find outside of Korea, I'll link a similar alternative down below. Then moving on to my favorite phone of 2025, it's gotta be the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7. I'm still using this as my main phone, and even though it's $2,000, it's honestly one of the few times where I feel like the ultra price tag actually makes sense and is worth it for me. Now, because Samsung finally made this thing as thin and light as a regular slab phone, it doesn't feel like a brick in my pocket anymore. I use the inner 8-inch screen for everything, multitasking a ton with pop-up windows, watching shows on the train or at the gym, and actually getting some work done. And with pretty good battery life, this is basically like my main computer for everything besides video editing. And one of the biggest reasons I've been able to stick with this foldable unlike the previous ones is because of this Banks case. I actually stayed away from foldables for years because it was so hard to find a good case. They were always too bulky, thick, or not grippy enough. This Banks case is super thin and protects all parts of the fold without losing that slim feel. So the combo of the Fold 7 and this case makes the first time a foldable has felt truly comfortable and usable as a daily driver for me. The Fold 7 was the best for me, but I also want to give an honorable shout out to the iPhone 17 Pro. I love the Fold for everything it does, but the iPhone's camera experience was just top tier this year. The new 4x periscope lens is great, 1,000 times better than the telephoto on the Fold. All these pictures in ProRAW retain so much detail, and I love editing them to get the real pictures I want. And the new center stage selfie camera is a total game changer for vlogging. This whole camera system is great, and I still rely on it for most of my Instagram pictures. Since I am a bit of a weirdo using Android with the Mac, I also want to give a quick shout out to the Blip app. Local send is still great, but it only works if both devices are on the same Wi-Fi. But since Blip doesn't require that and you can be on any network, I've been using this as my AirDrop or QuickShare replacement. QuickShare will eventually come to replace this as Google opens up their compatibility for QuickShare with AirDrop, but for now, this works super well. It's not quite as fast as a local LAN transfer, but the UI is super easy and nice. My wife and I use this all the time to transfer photos and videos with each other. It's totally free, by the way, so you should go download this if you're a hybrid ecosystem user like me. Next is my favorite non-phone, non-computer device of the year, and that's gotta be the Books Palma 2. Even though it does run Android and it's got the same form factor as a phone, it's basically just a really portable e-ink e-reader with wide compatibility. I don't read all the time, but it's nice to have a dedicated device just for reading and away from distractions. I actually do read from this sometimes when I want to detox before sleeping or when I'm just kind of sick of looking at an OLED or LCD screen. You can still read it in the dark, so it's better than a physical book, and it's much easier to hold versus something bigger like an iPad or Kindle. The Books Palma 2 isn't super responsive, nor does it feel fast, but I love how it's just dedicated for my reading time, and the battery life is insane. Even if you read an hour every day on this, it can last you much more than a week. At $280, it's not the most affordable e-reader, but for me, it's been the perfect way to detox and actually focus on reading. And last but not least, I want to talk Steam Deck. Even though I didn't buy this in 2025, it's still one of my most used gadgets this year. I'm on it almost daily, finishing up Borderlands 3 lately. For a working adult like me, having a device I can just turn on from sleep, play for 30 minutes, and put back to sleep is just perfect. But I'll be honest, my biggest issue with the Steam Deck has always been that it's too heavy, too thick, and just too big. The original carrying case it comes with is so massive that I basically never took it on trips, but I recently bought this TomTalk carrying case and it's been a game changer. It's way thinner than the original or competing cases while still protecting all parts. With this, packing the Steam Deck in my personal carry is actually manageable now, so I'll finally be taking my Steam Deck on my next trip. So those are all my favorite tech buys from this year. Like I said, if you're interested in any of these, the links are all down below. Let me know in the comments what your best tech purchase was from this year. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video.